Welcome into another episode of Slightly Serious.
Hello. Should I say my name?
That's kind of what we do.
Oh, well, I'm Nick.
I'm Zane, and we're back.
We are back. We're here.
We're at a different table.
It's the same table, is it not?
No.
It's a different table.
Yeah, we haven't recorded since we moved over to this room.
That's true.
We're
We're in a
recording
whole different
like
room.
5 feet behind the camera, and then we kind of just transitioned to this little bit more space in here, and it's kind of more alone. Like I don't have to, it's not crammed into another space.
I feel spacier.
Yeah, it's its own little spot now, but different table. The table's not at an angle now.
If you gave a fuck about our table, it's different.
You're gonna notice some changes. That's all I'm saying.
You might notice
And
our table's
brandless
different.
Water is kind of like here.
We're still with our brandless water, and that's
trippy.
important.
It's just so trippy how it's like kind of there.
It's magic.
But yeah, we're back. It was 4th of July week.
Yeah, 4th of July. You know, I didn't see any fireworks in person at all. Not one.
None?
No. I don't know how I missed them all. I just somehow missed them all. I did have my kids a lot, and we even went outside and we set off I have sparklers, and I was fucking around with some sparklers and stuff like that, and these little pop things. But like, I did not
Go see any.
at any point actively even witness a single live firework, which is I think might be the first time in my entire
I almost didn't.
life.
And then I got invited last second Saturday night to go see some fireworks. So
You saw some
I went and did some of those. So those were fun. It was like a neighbor of a friend.
big ones.
Oh yeah, they were setting off all sorts of shit. They probably a couple $1,000s worth of fireworks. They were just lighting off, like
In their
big
own backyard?
Yeah,
Oh, they have a big property, or
decent size, big field behind it that like isn't theirs, but like nothing's back there. So they just kind of were firing them up over that.
that's cool.
It was pretty cool though.
No one got hurt.
No one
Good.
got hurt. It was interesting. A bunch of kids were having a good time. There was like probably 10 or 12 kids under the age of like 10 that were there. So they were all like oohing and awing at every firework that went off.
Nice.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
I did see a funny, well, it's kind of funny, kind of shows the danger of what can happen with fireworks. So do you know that in LA that fireworks were banned in like most of the counties around like Los Angeles?
Just what, due to fire hazards and stuff?
Well, fire hazards and just the amount, like they were trying to cut back on like safety things, but it didn't stop anybody. LA was still a ridiculous amount of fireworks going off. But I saw these 2 videos that were sent to me. So we're going to pull them up here. Let me get them to actually show up before I... So these are on Instagram.
what is this?
Let me get it to...
What is it though?
They're videos of some fireworks stuff that happened in Compton, is what I was told these happened.
So these are like things that actually occurred this past 4th of July?
like a couple days ago.
And it's just a compilation of
No, it's just 2 videos
2 separate videos.
of the same incident from different sides.
All right, I'm gonna watch this for our audio listeners. Hopefully, we got some good stuff here.
Well,
Let's
let me
see.
get the audio on. So just shot off, and then you'll see it
Oh shit!
crashes down, and then she gets yelled at. But if you look, like it fires off. They just had it like
out
a
of a
cone in the middle of
cone.
an intersection, and it just goes sideways,
Oh,
and then just crashes
that
down.
boom, bro.
So that was sent to me, and then I saw this video. That was the other side.
Holy shit!
Someone recorded the other side where it landed because they were doing fireworks there too. So they were just trying to set off some of their own fireworks. And you hear it.
Oh my fucking god, dude! Holy shit!
So yeah, those were I saw those videos, and that's like the danger. Like you're in a city like that, if one goes rogue, it just lands 3 streets over into somebody else's party.
Well, you know the reason it might have went rogue, Zane, is they put it in a traffic cone.
Well, it still just went up and then just went sideways. Like it was just like a bottle rocket type thing that's supposed to just shoot straight up, and it went up and then
That
turned.
sounded way way larger than a bottle rocket.
I was saying, but that style though, it's supposed to just shoot straight up, and then it went up to start,
Yeah.
and then it just turned and went
It
sideways.
definitely didn't do what it was supposed to do. No.
And then just smacked into the ground.
I can't believe they got a video of it.
But it's the fact, like, everyone has cameras now. everyone's recording the fireworks doing that, and that was just two different groups doing fireworks.
Yeah.
One fired it off and went to another group who happened to also be recording.
Yeah.
So then that fireworks smacked into their group. Luckily, it didn't hurt anybody or kill anybody. But like, it's like someone out of a war movie. You like, you just hear the.
Yeah.
So that was some crazy shit. That didn't happen with I mean, I've had my incidents with fireworks in the past, but that would have been some crazy shit. You think they finished firing off those fireworks, or they're like, you know what, that's enough fireworks for me
They were
tonight.
they looked like they were gonna keep going. I bet you they all kept going.
That's still some crazy shit.
That is wild.
And like, only in the area like Compton, that's just there's always so many people. It's like such a condensed area where like shit like that's gonna happen. Out here, where I'm at, maybe, but like,
No, it happened. That could happen anywhere.
but like to be that condensed with that many people shooting them off, like to have the chance that two people were recording like that, like that's just so wild.
I don't know. Even my apartment complex, people on opposite ends can be shooting stuff off. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it can still do. I mean, that could happen anywhere.
But yeah, so that was some crazy.
And I've
shit
never
with
been to
fireworks.
Compton, so I can't really speak for the geographical like population and everything. So
Yeah, it's very very dense
don't know.
population out there, West Coast. But yeah, so that was 4th of July shit. So you didn't get to go. Did you do anything with your kids though this weekend?
Well, I actually really only had my youngest. Unfortunately, I mean, but it was also kind of cool at the same time because I got to spend like a lot of quality time with her, which was fun, you know. And we set off like the little things, like we did like the sparklers and the little poppets. But I didn't have my oldest this weekend. I just had my youngest, and I had her since like Thursday through Sunday.
Oh yeah,
I mean, and we just honestly, it was hot and muggy, kind of, you know what I mean? Like really back and forth with the rain, and so like we'd go back and forth to the parks and stuff. But I mean, an hour outside at a time, back inside, just kind of chilling in the AC. And I was reading a lot. I spent so much fucking time reading, man.
I saw that you decided to be like organizational and like rearranged like your whole apartment.
I rearranged and
you called it. You said like it was like the feng shui, or you?
Yeah, so it felt. I don't know, like. When you live in a space, when it's your space, think about this room in general. Like when we were out there, our old setup was to the point where your main living room or home area was our setup, to the point where you're walking in the door and it's just a clusterfuck.
Yep.
You know, but then if we pull everything out of there, we put it in this room. We've created a studio now. We have like our own side room. It feels better. The feng shui feels better. So it's like my room was getting to the point, like even my whole house, like, and not even so much my kids' room, but everything. I just needed a change. And also,
living
like,
room was a little cramped because you had such a like your couch shape and how it was.
it's
took
a
up so
huge
much
couch.
space.
It's a huge couch.
And for that living room you have, like it just took up. It was your living room was couch and a TV.
Yeah.
And then you went over the couch to get anywhere else.
So I did. I've changed everything up without spending any money. I have just rearranged what I had and gotten rid of things that I haven't touched in a really long time.
I just kind of saw a couple of the like little snippets you sent me, but did you put like part of your couch in like your kids' room?
I did. So the midsection, so it's 1, 2, 3 pieces. Then there's 1, 2 pieces. So it's like a 3-piece couch, a love seat, 2 pieces.
Yeah, and then like a
with no borders, and then there's a
lounge spot,
an ottoman lounge or whatever it's
just
called.
like extends out where you can
extends
actually
out
lay
and
down.
and it's got a sidearm. So I put the sidearm one way, and then I still have the 3-piece couch there, and then I took the midsection, the love seat, basically, and I put that on the side wall in my kids' room, to the point where like they have bunk beds. Originally it was 2 beds. It was like a bed here and then a crib here, and it took up 2 parts anyway. So now the bunk beds are just the amount of space that crib took up, just slightly larger and way taller.
So now they have like an open spot.
And
so
now
you
they have
put,
like a huge open spot, and they have the biggest room in my apartment. Like I had, it came with 2 rooms. One of them was small, and the other one was like a broom closet.
Yeah.
You know? So they have the moderate to small room, and I have the broom closet. And so, like, I don't know, man. Like, it works. And they have room. Now they have a couch in there, to the point where, like, I can go sit in there with them, you know, and I'm not right on their bed.
Or
and,
they
like,
can go sit and not be on bed. They can
not
just
be on the
sit
bed. They
and
can just
read or
sit
play.
and watch and play, or they're right by their bookshelf now. It's super cool.
Hell yeah, man.
It's a comfy ass couch too. So, but it feels so much better. I feel like I have a new place. It doesn't feel boring.
I know
anymore.
you'd sent me some of the stuff saying you were like cleaning your whole place.
Yeah,
So that was
and I deep cleaned it. I was on my hands and knees, bro, scrubbing the fucking kitchen floor.
That's nothing new to you. Being on your hands and knees.
Wow, no, but I'm just blowing sailors usually. You know what I mean? This time I was actually doing like constructive work. Yeah,
But you have been doing a lot of reading. You were like
I've been
just
reading a
starting
lot.
into the third book when you were here last week,
I was like a fifth of the way through it.
and you're like
And now
4/5 of the way through the fourth book.
I am
So
almost done.
I think it's time.
For next book corner?
I think so, because I mean, if you're gonna talk about your books, we might as well just put the spotlight on you.
I have a problem.
Problem.
I can't get out of this Harry Potter kick, bro. I just cannot get out of it. I mean, I just found the original copy of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which had a different name in the UK.
The Philosopher's Stone.
The Philosopher's Stone in the UK version, and then it was Americanized to Sorcerer's Stone. Apparently, we like sorcery more than philosophy. I don't know, but I just, it was my old copy. It even has my last name, Natalie, written in it from when we were kids. And I just started reading that, and I was like, man, as an adult, I really like this book still. Like it, I loved it as a kid. I knew that, but like if you read it as an adult, as a 34-year-old man who avidly reads all the time, am I going to love it? And I do, I love it. And I have just like slowly, I just feel like over time, I'm just coming to realize that I really am a wizard, bro. Like I just know it, you know? I know it deep down, and I'll receive a letter in my time. I was delayed in school for so long, bro.
You're just waiting for that owl
I'm just
to show
waiting
up?
for.
Oh, do you have a fireplace?
I don't have a fireplace, which I think is the like main issue, because I know a lot of times
they come through the fireplace.
It could do that. I have like a interesting postal service. I did, however, acquire my own wand recently.
It looks like a piss-filled wand.
You would say that this is a family gem. So I come from a long line of wizardry, apparently.
Yeah.
And I actually have like a full-on document here that tells me how my wand was made, how it was manufactured, and all that stuff. Because like it's really important, like your certain wand. I mean, this new wand. It's plastic with plastic tip, 13 inches, filled to the brim with centaur semen. Okay, which is why it looks so milky. And you said piss filled.
It looks
it's
like
not piss. It's centaur semen. So it's also bedazzled inside with precious shining flakes from Lake Winona, Winona Ryder. And it's just like this beautiful, beautiful wand. And I'm just learning my spells. Like I said, I'm learning how to get gob jobs off and on here and there as needed.
If we need to get you a better help sponsorship so you can see somebody. Continue as you were.
But, the thing about Harry Potter is, then I read number 2, Chamber of Secrets, and I read number 3, Prisoner of Azkaban. And when I read number 3 and number 2, I had to buy those copies. I bought them myself. I originally started with the second book, and it was a borrowed copy from a friend of mine. And I was like, you know what? I just want to buy my own copy. And I found 2 and 3, Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban, and like these brilliant pop-up versions, fully illustrated every page by like this Mina Lima production company. Loved them. And now I'm reading number 4, The Goblet of Fire, and I am 548 pages into this 750 some maybe ish page book. And
the big font?
It's not the big font. Oh. No. I know you think because of my age, naturally I would need bifocals or something of the sort. No, my eyes are in pretty
You'll
good.
get one of those like the clip onto the desk, a magnifying glass sits in front of your face. While
and I've been doing a lot of spells just to maintain my health here and there, off and on, which I think help a lot with that.
Putting the wand. No, Michael, continue.
Rate it thermometer style. That's another reason it looks the way it does. Rating these though, like as far as like, so I don't think I ever even as a child or as a kid in general read past 4. I might have read all the way through 4, or maybe not even finished 4, but I definitely didn't read 5, 6, or 7 when I was younger. So those will be entirely new to me. And in fact, I might have seen up to 4 movie-wise. And maybe I saw the very last one in theaters, but I never really was like, you know what I mean? Like paying it. I just don't know this. I couldn't even tell you what happened. So
So you're getting to
The
point
rest
now
will
where you're gonna
really
start,
be
like new first time.
Then it will
Yeah.
still be like
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of have this feeling.
I feel like
they grow
5 is
as
where
he gets older.
It really gets the story got more interesting to me.
They started to mention alcohol for the first time in this one. I've noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
As Harry gets older, his experiences get older.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he starts to and that's the weird thing about these books. It's like I think about how J.K. Rowling might have started writing these, and let's pretend for an instant she really wanted to target an audience, and she's like, I want to target readers who are 11 to 13, right? That age group, 11 to 15 even. So she can go, all right, well, here's a good way to do it. He starts at 11 years of age. He finds out he's a wizard. Year 2, he's 12. Year 3, he's 13. Year 4, he's 14. There's an easy way to remember it as well. As the 4th year, he's 14 years old. 7th book, he's 17 years old. So that generation of readers will grow up also at the same age as Harry is. So their experiences will start to change. Harry Potter's experiences start to change. As he's getting older, his experiences, his relationships are slightly more intense or in depth, or the subject matter starts to get a little bit like questionable. Also, I don't believe in banning books from a school, but I could understand how, like, not this specifically, but just books in general. Like, let's say, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want my 6-year-old or even my 10-year-old to read Blue Lard by Vladimir Sorokin, you know, where people are just like butt fucking each other for, you know, no apparent artistic reason. You know, it's just like, it just seems like there's certain things you wouldn't want children of a certain age to subject themselves to, just like we would like not let them watch certain movies. So I wouldn't say pull them from the library, but maybe a certain age you're able to start checking things out. And I think when they were banning books as far as like Harry Potter and things, it was because of witchcraft, they said, or, you know, this or that. But it's like, how many books are fictional that involve things of that nature? Like, there's nothing in here that's
So
like,
you're saying about how like,
but
the
there's a
books
lot of
get
like,
older as it gets released. So the first book was released in '97.
yeah.
So then a year goes by for the second book, so he gets a year older.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going by that, but like you think the people watching it, you said if an 11-year-old reads the first one, they'll be 12 when they read the second one.
They would grow up with Harry
13
Potter.
reading the third one.
Yeah.
14 for the fourth one. Then it jumps to 17 for the fifth one. Almost 19 for the sixth one.
They'd
and
be
then
19 by the time the sixth one
21
came
by
out.
the time Deathly Hallows came out.
Because it came
10
out,
to-
the
to
book
10
was
year-
written in 2007 for the last one.
Yeah, it was published.
Published in 2007.
The first one was published in 1997,
Mm-hmm.
and then the last one in 2007. Almost a year or 10 years apart to the day. So it was June 26th on 97 and July 21st in 07.
10 years apart for 7 books. So you wouldn't be,
It wouldn't be a year.
you'd
each,
be about
but
20 years old, 20 to 21 years old by the time.
It said if you started at 11, you'd be 21.
So when the books came out in 97, I was 7 years old.
Yep.
Okay. And I remember
would've been-
being in grade school. Now, it didn't come over to the United States until 99, though, if I recall correctly. That Harry Potter actually came over to the U.S. Is that right? Like, I know it was published first in 97, but
it's Classic Press in the United States.
97.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was 97. But they were out earlier. When did they come out in the U.K.?
It just doesn't say the difference between. It just
Oh.
says it was published.
Well,
in
here was the
English.
thing. When I was in grade school, I went to this school called St. Rita's in Solon. And there was this friend of mine, and I wish I could remember his name because I'd like to reach out to him at some point. That would be cool to just be like, dude, like,
Here we go.
but we were so young at the time, bro. I would have been like 6, 7 years old, right? And I must have been in the 2nd or 3rd grade. And he came back from this trip to the UK with his family telling me that he had this book that like is so popular over there. And he's like, wait, I'm telling you, it's going to be everywhere. And here it is.
So the first 3 books had separate release dates, like you said. I found this here. So it was June 26th in the UK and then January 9th, 98 for the US. And it was about the same thing when the first 3 books, July 2nd, 98, and it was February 6th, 99. So it took about 6 months between releases.
So it wasn't released until 98 here?
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
So yeah, that's what I thought.
And they
It
got
was different.
closer together to release days, and then from the 4th on, they were just released at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But the first 3 were separate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Typically the following year.
Oh, it was about only because of the time, a couple months. It was about 6 months.
6 months.
It was about 7 months for the second one, and then it was like 3 or 4 months, or 2 months, or 1 month actually between the third book set releases.
I would be curious to know if there's any actual differences in the text between the two versions. Like, I know they changed the name of just the title, but do you think they may or may not have taken something out? Like, whether it be a sentence or two that might have been removed for the United States version. I don't know. I would just be curious. I'll have to do a deep search on it a little bit. But as far as like my reading, here's how I feel about them. 1 and 2 collectively have about as much substantial weight as number 3. Mm-hmm. So far, I like number 3 the best.
Well, like
but
I said,
if I had to choose,
I like as the books went on, they had more of a story, I think, than
I really like 3. 1 and 2 are, 1 by itself is great. 2 by itself is great. 3 is amazing. 4 it's really good, but I don't like it as much as I like any of the other 3. Then I've heard 5. Someone told me when you read 5, go slow because there's so much information they throw at you, and there's so much that happens. And apparently that's Neville's big blow up. It's known as Neville's glow up or something like that. Like, I don't know if that's when he just like finds himself or what, but I'm gonna find out. I'm excited, but I was told to go slower, and I've been devouring this one. This one I've just flown through. But they're easy reads, man. They're easy reads, but they're not dumb reads. You don't feel like a fucking moron reading it. I don't feel like a child. I don't feel like it was written specifically for children. You know, you have to remember an adult wrote it. She just wrote it in a way that doesn't use an incredibly crass style or vulgar language.
I feel like as she wrote through them, she got more complex with them because she knew like the people that were reading the originals are going to be older too.
And there's a dark element to these too. I mean, you hear like just Voldemort in his head going ripping, tear you apart, and you're just
continue to read the series.
It gets dark, man.
I've seen all of it, read all of it. So
really. It is dark.
Yeah.
It is dark. So I can understand how like, certain teachers were like, I don't want my children.
Why it doesn't grab as much because it's not as lore heavy. It's more of like a side, like it still has some like important story elements, but it's more like focused around like it's like the bulk of it is like a game going on. So like it's almost not as lore dense as some of the other ones. There's still important bits and stuff in there, but it's not as like
you
story
find out
forward.
You find out a little things about Hagrid.
You've had a lot of stuff about
there's a few little things here and there, and then you're introduced to the fact that the element that there are schools in other countries. You know, so that's a huge thing. It's like just the acknowledgement that there are now
Hogwarts isn't the only school.
Hogwarts is not the only school. She does agree. I just love them. I'm very, very into them. But we are reading something else as well, are we not? We are reading
Harry Potter,
this, and we've also got 12 Rules for Life.
Hell yeah!
So, just a quick recap because we have consistently not been consistent with the 12 Rules of Life or 12 Rules for Life.
One of those things is we knew we wouldn't go into it consistent. It's just something that like when we got to it, we'd have something to talk about occasionally.
It's a book written by Jordan B. Peterson, and he is a clinical psychologist. Rule 1 was stand up straight with your shoulders back. Zane?
The lobsters.
Rule 2, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping.
Yeah, actually take care of yourself.
Rule 3, make friends with people who want the best for you.
Just make sure you have good people around you.
Rule 4, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today.
Personal growth is more important than the reference of somebody else's success.
Rule 5, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. If you don't punish your children, the world will fucking punish them later.
Yep.
Rule 6 is set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. If you're in a dark spot, the world's going to seem pretty abysmal.
Yeah, don't project your issues into the world and say that it's a world issue.
Rule 7, pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. And that's today.
That's where we are today.
Rule 7.
It's a pretty hefty rule when it comes down to it, because when you first read the title, like do what is meaningful, and that was expedient. It's just it seems pretty base level at first, where you just think about it. It's like, oh, do what actually matters, not not what's easy to do, what's quick to do, what's like gonna help right now.
Well, he starts off by talking about how we would have even come to conceptualize waiting. You know, where it's like how do you get past instant gratification?
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do.
And I think he originally started talking about food, right? Where
Yeah,
it's
he talks about how like early cavemen having to get past the idea of you kill a giant mammoth, and like to get past the idea of just devouring the whole mammoth right now. And then you realize I can't physically eat this entire mammoth right now. But if I smoke it or preserve it, I can eat this mammoth the next couple days and have food for a while. So then you start the idea of, well, I can eat what is needed and then preserve, and what I've done today will help the future me and future selves. And it's the idea of treating your future self as a person and as a thing. And like he talks about it in biblical senses too, where like the idea of in any religion, like sacrificing something to God is that an instant gratification thing. Is like you sacrifice something to whatever your deity is in the hopes that down the line you get rewarded. And that's kind of like an early aspect too of the religious side of it, where people will put off now in hopes that they get rewarded for it later.
Yeah, and Peterson's really he mentions a lot of religious stuff. I mean, he references the Bible so many times.
Rather religious guy himself.
Yeah, he references the Bible so many different times and uses those examples from the stories as a way of explaining and helping to explain what he's trying to say. And he does a very great job with it. And he also does so for famous philosophers and other clinical psychologists as well. Like here, he says Socrates rejected expediency and the necessity for manipulation that accompanied it. He chose instead, under the direst of conditions, to maintain his pursuit of the meaningful and the true. He also goes into talking about how Cain is outraged by his rejection. He confronts God, accuses him, and curses his creation. That proves to be a very poor decision. God responds in no uncertain terms that the fault is all with Cain, and worse, that Cain has knowingly and creatively dallied with sin and reaped the consequences. He uses all kinds of Bible references as well, but he does so in a manner, and I'm not going to go into like literally every single one.
He takes them out of like they're from a religious text, but he uses the religious text for just outside of religion.
Yeah.
Points.
I was just using like random examples of the ways in which he does both.
But like he does use a lot of biblical references, but he doesn't shove them down your face as like a religious thing. He cites where he gets this passage from, but it's more of just like saying that religious texts have morals and stories to them that they're past the religion themselves.
And this is a much larger rule than the ones that we've typically gone over. This one was 40 pages. You said it was like 2 hours of audio.
Yeah,
it wasn't until I got about halfway through this rule where it started to say Christianity and its problems, where he starts talking about Carl Jung, who I love, hypothesized that the European mind found itself motivated to develop the cognitive technologies of science to investigate the material world after implicitly concluding that Christianity, with its laser-like emphasis on spiritual salvation, had failed to sufficiently address the problem of suffering in the here and now. He starts to talk about that, and that's when it really caught my interest, and I started to actually, as I got further in, set aside things that I really wanted to point out. And very rarely, if ever, will I mark inside of a book. This book, I have marked inside of and torn apart in so many different ways, Zane, personally, just because you told me not to. But I've done so in a way that allows me to like really easily get to them. And I just want to read what I pointed out.
At this point, just your book. So
yeah. That's true. So now an idea is not the same thing as a fact. Fact is something that is dead in and of itself. It has no consciousness, no will to power, no motivation, no action. There are billions of dead facts. The internet is a graveyard of dead facts, but an idea that grips a person is alive. It wants to express itself, to live in the world. It is for this reason that the depth psychologists, Freud and Jung, paramount among them, insisted that the human psyche was a battleground for ideas. An idea has an aim. It wants something. It posits a value structure. An idea believes that what it is aiming for is better than what it has now. It reduces the world to those things that aid or impede its realization, and it reduces everything else to irrelevance. An idea defines figures against ground. An idea is a personality, not a fact. When it manifests itself within a person, it has a strong proclivity to make that person its avatar, to impel that person to act it out. Sometimes that impulsion, possession is another word, can be so strong that the person will die rather than allowing the idea to perish. This is, generally speaking, a bad decision, given that it is often the case that only the idea need die, and that the person with the idea can stop being its avatar, change his or her ways, and continue. Mm-hmm. This is where I started to realize part of what this was really telling me is it also goes back to that other rule. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. It's because it's saying that your perception of reality can be based upon your current circumstances. And in order to change your current circumstances, you have to acknowledge not only that this might not be exactly where you want to be, but know the direction in which you want to go, being upwards or forwards or wherever you need to be. And then also make the conscious decision then to find one little thing to start at that you can do now even to make things better later. And it's so easy, and I can just use this as an example. And I smoke weed. So when I do this is not me judging anybody because I do the same thing. But this is like going, okay, so, oh my God, I got so much shit to do today, bro. All right, let me go light this bowl real quick and just fucking relax. I cannot fucking deal with this shit right now. I just need to fucking zone out. And then smoke a bunch of weed and then just sit there and lay there. Instead of going, all right, bro, here's what I'm going to do. Ready? I need to fucking just get these dishes done real quick and just get these out of the way. And then I can sit back and kick it for a minute. And then I'm going to find the next task and we're going to get that done real quick, you know? And like making a conscious decision to just like do something. Like rather than just ignore it.
To another earlier rule where he talks about, I think it's the treating yourself as somebody that like you care about, where he talks about rewarding yourself for doing things.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So instead of like how you said like, oh, I need to do all this stuff, let me smoke to prepare for it. It's almost like it'd be better off. It's like, oh, I need to do all this. Let me do it. And then I could smoke as the reward for doing it. Yeah. I can relax afterwards. And that's my reward.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you can change like your perception of how the event's even going. And like, or if you can, like even myself, I have even recognized at times that like my use of marijuana, for instance, isn't always medicinal. And so it's like, I have recognized a habit in myself that doesn't seem always beneficial. And so it's like, if I'm recognizing that something's not necessarily always beneficial, then I can make a conscious effort to either change it or ignore that something needs to be changed. And then, you know what I mean? It's like figure out what in your life you don't want there or needs to change. And then rather than ignore that it needs to change, like figure out one small thing you can do to change it. And like, even if when it comes to cigarettes or something or anything that you're trying to quit doing, any bad habit or anything, it's like, you don't have to just immediately stop it, but you can recognize, part of it is just even recognizing it's a bad habit.
The first way to, fix a problem is admitting you have a problem.
And it's not even that. And it's not, and I don't want to say it almost like it's like it has to be a drug thing, but it can be anything.
But it's in anything. Like only way you can fix anything or change anything is pointing out that what you are doing.
It could be your coffee that you're buying every single morning from Starbucks, and you're like, "Fuck!" I get to the end of the month, and I'm scrounging for like this or that. But it's like, okay, like collectively, how much money did you just spend at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or buttfuck bagels? In that entire week, you can buy times coffee 4 for the month.
Make it at home for a fraction of the price.
It's just like every little thing that, and then you might go, okay, well maybe I don't need that every day, and then you go, maybe I'll only do it 2 days a week or 3 days a week instead of all 7. So it's like you can start anything somewhere, but if you just prepare yourself, But I don't even. It's not even just that.
But he even talks about said that same idea of like you don't need to make major changes. You change one small thing at a time, and over time they like snowball. Like when you get up in the morning, if you take 2 minutes to make your bed, seems like a little thing, but then as you go through, you'll start doing a little bit more and more each day, and then eventually it's just all habit.
And I know like half of these examples we use, like they sound stupid because it's like it sounds like the same shit you hear every single day, but it's a concept, it's an idea that I myself am like trying to understand. It's like my reality right now is based off of my emotional state and reaction or response to my environment and the way it makes me feel. And so if I am looking at my environment and the things that are happening and I'm going, you know, I have so much, dude, I'm going into surgery tomorrow? Like I'm going into surgery tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Like I'm in surgery.
Oh, that's right. Cause you said your mom's coming in
both of my sides, bro, are getting cut open and they're going to remove these lipomas that I have and then biopsy them. And, you know, we'll just go from there. But it's like, and then a week later on the exact same day next week, I have my lipoma getting, or not my lipoma, but my ganglion cyst going to get drained again, you know? And so it's like, I've got a bunch of different stuff that's like medical stuff that's going on with me too, just from like, you know, injuries, like from, you know, one of them is a work injury from my arm. And I got these lipomas that I got to get biopsied. And I have a cyst from skateboarding that, you know, just from rolling my fucking ankle all the time. Cause I'm a skateboarder. Like I'm pretty good. And I'm on the cover of Medina fucking magazine, like as of like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So check me out. But,
we have an episode that mentioned it.
Yeah. Like I'm actually pretty good. At some point I'll probably throw some videos up in here or something, but I can hit a 12-foot rail. I'm pretty dope.
I can hit him too. I usually hit him sideways, like, trip over,
he hits
fall
him
on
in
my
the face. He just goes straight to the dome, But I have not.
Different definition of hit.
I haven't been skateboarding in a minute just because I'm trying to like really rest up. So it's been a while. But basically, dude, there's so much that he says, and we go back and forth and back and forth. But to use the dramatic conceptualization of our ancestors, it is most fundamental convictions that must die, must be sacrificed. And this is where he like does that little God thing again and whatever. But there was one little part at the end. If you are disciplined and privilege your future over your present, you can change the structure of reality in your favor.
He mentions another line. I don't remember exactly where, but he talks about how successful people prioritize delayed gratification.
Yes. That's very close to this spot. Yeah. If you are disciplined and privilege the future over the present, you can change the structure of reality in your favor. I mean, that lines up even with like the law of polarity in a sense. That's in the Kabbalion. The 3 initiates wrote that. I mean, really, really good stuff. That's Hermetic philosophy. I will find, I think, what you're talking about. It was from this that I drew my, so I think this is Jung. Or maybe it's, here, hold on. It says, it was from this that I drew my fundamental moral conclusions. Aim up. Pay attention. Fix what you can fix. Don't be arrogant in your knowledge. Strive for humility, because totalitarian pride manifests itself in intolerance, oppression, torture, and death. Become aware of your own insufficiency, your cowardice, malevolence, resentment, and hatred. Consider the murderousness of your own spirit before you dare accuse others, and before you attempt to repair the fabric of the world. Maybe it's not the world that's at fault. Maybe it's you. You've failed to make the mark. You've missed the target. You've fallen short of the glory of God. You've sinned. And all of that is your contribution to the insufficiency of evil in the world. And above all, don't lie. Don't lie about anything, ever. Lying leads to hell. It was the great and the small lies of the Nazi and communist states that produced the deaths of millions of people. Now, every little time that he says God, because sometimes that word even triggers me. I hear God and I like immediately like just reject it because it almost feels like it's so overused word, you know? So it's like wherever you're from, it could be Allah, God, it could be, you know, this, that, all, like whatever vibration you fucking feel, you know, whatever energy you harness, whatever, just something greater than you. I like to think of the fact that we are 3-dimensional beings in a thinking 4th-dimensional thoughts. You know, like our emotions, we are 3-dimensional beings who feel 4th-dimensional emotions, and we try to convey them, and we try to convey these ideas. We have ideas in our head, and we try to convey them, but we can't like manifest them in what feels like a physical form. And it makes things so fucking difficult.
Expressing emotion, especially, is a hard thing.
So
It's a downfall of a lot of people.
And we can't like even comprehend what it would be like to be in a fourth dimension or function fourth dimensionally. It's very hard. So when we talk about things and an idea is the closest thing we have, it seems like our emotions and an idea are the closest things we have to a God. Our
So,
reality, our perception is the
another
closest thing we have.
Because like he mentions, like you have sin, and sin outside of the context of religion, I've heard it described as sin is just failure to meet a goal, failure to act, failure to do something. In
Or
religious
malicious.
aspects, it's just sin is failing to abide by the law of whatever divine power, whatever rules they have set. But in a non-religious sense, sin is just failure to do something.
Yeah, a
Whatever
better
your
way to put it is,
aspect is.
and even like, and this is, I highlighted this too, because that's a perfect point. Jung observed that the construction of such a moral hierarchy was inevitable. Although it could remain poorly arranged and internally self-contradictory, for Jung, whatever was at the top of an individual's moral hierarchy was, for all intents and purposes, that person's ultimate value, that person's God. It was what the person acted out. It was what the person believed most deeply. Something enacted is not a fact, or even a set of facts. Instead, it's a personality, or more precisely, a choice between two opposing personalities. It's Sherlock Holmes or Moriarty. It's Batman or the Joker. It's Superman or Lex Luthor. Charles Francis Xavier or Magneto. And Thor or Loki. It's Abel or Cain. And it's Christ or Satan. If it's working for the ennobling of being, for the establishment of paradise, then it's Christ. If it's working for the destruction of being, for the generation and propagation of unnecessary suffering and pain, then it's Satan. That's the inescapable, archetypal reality.
Christ and Satan in all, like, in lesser, better words, is like how he's wording it, is they're summarizations of larger ideas. Like he said, like if it's for good, it's labeled under the umbrella of Christ. If it's more for the evil side of life, then it's labeled more as a satanic thing.
And this is why I look at the Bible as like almost the greatest book of magic ever written, which is what Damien Eccles even said. It's like if you take it literally and you look at it as like everything legitimately occurred this way, and you don't take it like we as human beings naturally, no matter what time it's ever been, we want to relate to something. When we tell a story, if we were to try to convey an idea, which is what naturally the Bible even is it's trying to convey a concept to you or an idea or something, right? You're trying to pass information from one person to another. What would be the intent or the purpose of passing along information unless it felt important to us, right? Now, when we pass along information or we share something with somebody, no matter what way, shape, or form, we have to be able to, one, relate to it ourselves. Or else how the fuck are we going to pass it along?
That's why a lot of time when anybody's like telling even basic stories or trying to explain, like if I was trying to explain a video game to someone who doesn't play video games, I'm going to try to like use an analogy of something they know to compare it.
Yes.
Instead of being
so
like...
if, for instance, a being greater than ourselves was trying to somehow pass along information that really wouldn't or couldn't be understood, considering we can't conceptualize a fourth dimension, to do so, they would have to use examples of a sort that would be relatable, whether it be another human being or this or that. Are we frozen on here or is it? So hopefully we can pick up where I left off. But basically I was talking about how a higher being, if something that, since we can't conceptualize a fourth dimension at all, if something that was going to try to explain to us a set of moral code even, or I don't know, or even if you were going to try to establish an idea at an earlier time and try to convey it to somebody who couldn't quite understand what you were talking about, you would do it in a way using examples they could understand, like whether it be another human being or this or that. So it's like, let's say we're talking about now a fourth dimensional being, and we're trying to convey something like a god, for instance, now, and we're conveying it in a way that, I mean, we barely understand it alone. And now we have to convey it to people who really aren't going to understand it. We're going to have to make God seem like us. We're made, in his image or this or that. Like, we're going to try to explain it perhaps in a way where it makes some sort of sense. And I'm not saying like that specific example, but you're going to have to understand that, like, we don't understand. And like, we can't quite understand or fathom something outside of our realm.
That's how faith is created. Because like the definition of faith is a strong belief in a God or doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension, so like the mental like belief in it rather than proof.
Yeah. Well, and then how do you know and that's where he goes into this. How do you know what's good for you? Like, you have this internal like engine in you, this like moral code, this like, when you go fucking do something,
It's the idea of conscience.
you get that, if you get that feeling in you, you're like, man, I feel like I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, that's that internal conscience thing, your internal voice of right and wrong.
And every action you take is gonna have, I mean, Isaac Newton, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So it's like, if everything you do somehow branches off and has an equal and opposite reaction, like you might, let's say like I'm door dashing, right? And let's say I steal someone's fucking food, right? I got free food.
Someone else got no food.
I might also, in return, get a really bad rating from them on my thing, which affects my Dasher rating. They got no food. They, in return, might have then had the company reimburse them. So the company then had to pay them money, right? They had to wait an extra hour. Maybe they got frustrated and beat the shit out of their wife, And then, like, so you get what I'm saying, though? Yeah. Like, it can trigger anything. Like, maybe he's so pissed off he didn't get his food, he goes and beats up Sally Sue, who he's been dating for 22 weeks or something like that. And then all of a sudden Sally Sue gets all fucked up, right? And then she, in return, can't harness another relationship for the rest of her life. And then she has a couple kids, but her kids see that her mom is unable to do this. And then it's like the whole chain of life, right? But like, you have to understand that like everything you fucking do really does branch off in another direction. And so our goal would then be to figure out what feels proper to us, what feels correct, what feels like we're moving forward, when our decisions and our faith in what our purpose or our goal is, when we create meaning and actually establish meaning in something or put an idea behind it, it becomes more than fact. It becomes our reality. For all intents and purposes, our moral code, everything that's been taught to us, whether we've agreed with it or not over time, you've taken every bit of everything that's ever been told to you, and you've either discarded what you did not believe to be real or kept and held on to your moral code. You have developed over time, taking every situation you've been put in, and you have established what feels correct to you. And now at this point in your life, in my life, in every one of your lives, who's above the age of at least 25, right?
Yeah.
You have figured out, and you're still figuring out, I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing still. But you have an internal moral code, and you can go do something, and you can know if it feels correct. And you can know if it feels wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And if it feels wrong, chances are some wrongness has been spread out, some bad energy.
Yeah.
And that will poison whatever else is around there as well, including, in return, you.
Yeah. Just because maybe to you it seems like productive or good, it could still be, negative negative effects of what it is doing. So like, even if part of you is like, this is good for me, I'm getting something from this, there's probably also a part of you going, but someone else is going to get hurt.
Yeah, so expedience is the following of blind impulse. It's short-term gain, it's narrow, it's selfish, it lies to get its way, it takes nothing into account, it's immature and irresponsible, meaning is its mature replacement. Meaning emerges when impulses are regulated, organized, and unified. Meaning emerges from the interplay between the possibilities of a world and the value structure operating within that world. If the value structure is aimed at the betterment of being, the meaning revealed will be life-sustaining. It will provide the antidote for chaos and suffering. It will make everything matter. It will make everything better. That's part of religion as well.
Yeah.
Religion, though, is also... Do you know how we're talking about expedience as blind impulse?
Yeah.
Okay, do not let your faith or spirituality also become blind impulse or ritual, where it's just like you're just doing it because you're told to do it. You know, remember what it is that you believe in or what feels right to you.
Yeah.
And let that be your primary focus in moving forward. But do not let what is told to you, do not just blindly follow something just because you're told that that's correct.
Yeah. If you're told something is correct, understand why it's correct, and then take that understanding and live with that. Not doing something because, like, you're not gonna, like, if someone's like jump off a bridge, you're not gonna be like bet and jump off a bridge. You'd be like, why am I jumping off a bridge? Does it make sense to jump off this bridge? But then if you realize, oh, I'm about to get hit by a car. If I don't jump over this bridge into this water, then maybe you do it. Or if you like jumping off this bridge is just going to kill me, I'm not going to do it. You have to take what is said and then try to understand it.
Another little spot I put is meaning is when everything there is comes together in an ecstatic dance of single purpose. The glorification of a reality so that no matter how good it has suddenly become, it can get better and better and better, more and more deeply forever into the future. Meaning happens, and some could say that's heaven, right? And I'll read that again. The glorification of a reality so that no matter how good it has suddenly become, it can get better and better and better, more and more deeply forever into the future. Meaning happens when that dance has become so intense that all the horrors of the past, all the terrible struggle engaged in by all of life and all of humanity to that moment becomes a necessary and worthwhile part of the increasingly successful attempt to build something truly mighty and good.
Heaven. That's what I said. Like, heaven is and like religion, where they, say like one of the first aspects or like first like parts of humanity understanding the idea of, working for a future instead of right now.
That phrase, heaven on earth, where like you have created your reality and understand that your entire past has taken you to create.
But it's like it's not even like the heaven on earth part. It's like even understanding that heaven on earth is nothing compared to heaven. Like no matter how great you make it now, you always want to make right now better, but you're doing it with the hope that afterwards you're rewarded with something even greater. It's like the idea of like Christianity in general. You want to make your world that you're on now better, do better for everybody else around you.
I don't necessarily even think that it's like the goal of doing that is though so that you can experience something even later in heaven. I think it's saying to create heaven for you, to create internal happiness and like to bring heaven here, to understand like what it means to genuinely know that once you have created meaning, once you have like, that's why people, dude, once people find their faith, once they become, do you understand how like unbreakable some of those people are? Like they're just like, they understand something that's just like so beyond you sometimes. They're like, look, if you don't understand, that's okay, honey. You don't have, and they're so content with you not care. You know what I mean? Because and I'll admit that some of those people go a little far with it.
Well, yeah.
But they have created for themselves, bro, this meaning, this sense of purpose that no matter what happens around them, they understand that, like, as long as they're doing their best, I mean, things are bound to be out of their control.
Yeah.
They've got that serenity prayer on lockdown, man. They fucking understand that, like just like they've recognized what's beyond their control, what they have control over, as long as they're moving forward and their purpose is, they feel like they're doing what's right to them.
Yeah.
How can they be fucking themselves up? And bro, I've come to realize this in myself, even just reading this chapter and recently and like understanding what really makes me, even if reading Harry Potter repeatedly makes me crazy fucking happy, reading the things that I really, really love to do. And then when I'm with my kids, just zoning out and just being with my kids and in that moment with my kids and everything. Some of those moments that I've been really unhappy are when I'm like out there trying to find love. I'm trying to go find a girlfriend or someone because I feel fucking lonely. And it's like, I don't need to feel lonely. I can be content with myself and the things that I have interest in and my kids and the things that I have so many fucking amazing things. I don't need to go find other things to try to fill whatever emptiness I feel like I have. If I'm feeling empty, then I need to fill myself up with what I have and pay attention to the things that I have that make me feel fucking full and change the structure of my reality. My reality should not always be wanting more. If I can find what I have and go, oh, you know what? The things that I have, there are some fucking things I've got that fill me up. If I'm empty, they fill me up. Let me drink from that fucking cup. I love getting filled up, bro. I love it. Fill me up all day. All day.
And how to derail a deep topic.
Yeah. You know what's funny, though? My kid, my 2-year-old, Harper Moon, we'll be like walking. Like, let's say we were at the park the other day and everything like that. And like, out of nowhere, she just goes, oh, airplane. Oh, airplane, Daddy. I'm like, airplane. Airplanes all day, Daddy. I'm like, yeah. And then sometimes she'll be like, we'll be inside. And she's like, I want to go to park. I'm like, yeah, you want to go outside? You want to go to the park? She's like, I want to go to park all day. All day I want to go park. So she started to use that for everything. Cheese, you want cheese stick? I want cheese stick all day. All day a cheese stick. You know? So she's like.
So my girlfriend's daughter just like they like take phrases even though they don't fully understand them. They like use them. So my girlfriend and I, when we like talk to each other, even if we hear each other, like they'll be like, you know, hey honey, I'm like, what? Or like if they say, even ask us a question, what? We just say what a lot, like being dumb. So now with her daughter, you'll be like, hey, look, what? It's like, come here.
Yeah, Harper will be that too. She'll ask me a question.
What?
Specifically, she'll be like, Daddy, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's a brick. And she's like, oh, what? It's a brick. What? A brick. What? What's that?
But she doesn't even ask it as like a question. She just hears us as respond with what. So she thinks that's how you're supposed to respond.
Yeah.
So anytime you be like, hey, come here. What? Just because we say what is jokes back to each other all the time. On a side thing, because you're talking about how like some people with God like take it too far. And, like how much they like trust in God. So have you ever heard the joke about the guy that like jumps into the river and then
remind me.
A boat, like, so the guy jumps into the river and he's struggling to swim.
Can't get out.
A boat comes up and goes, do you need help?
No, God will save me.
Yeah. So God will save me. So the boat goes on, another boat comes up, God will save me. This is
God will
three
save me.
separate boats.
Yeah.
He drowns. Gets up to heaven and goes, God, I thought you were going to save me. I sent you
three fucking boats, dude.
I sent you three fucking boats.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. You know, it's like, it's also like, that's perfect because, so every day you wake up, opportunity presents itself. You can pretty much go out into the world and do anything you want. You can go do anything. Now, if you choose to take that a bad way and go shoot up a school, fuck you. But if you choose to wake up in the morning and go, you know what, man, there's like so much shit I got to do, and like I could just like start here and get this stuff done, then you're gonna make your life a little bit better. If you wake up in the morning even, and let's say today I was door dashing, right? Now I pulled up this fucking crazy ass house, and I get up there and everything, and I was like, dude, this is fucking beautiful up here. And the guy's like, yeah, this is Nick's house. And I was like, I'm Nick. And he's like, I know, I saw that. And I was like, that's cool. I was like, what is this? He's like, it's just Nick's house, and we all kind of work here with him too. And I look over in the garage, and there's all these guys over there. And they're all like kind of on these computers and everything too, but they look like they might be like social media influencers or something too. And they had this huge fucking property. Now, I was just like, this is cool, and then turned around and backed out, you know, and acknowledged that the property was cool. Let's say, for instance, I decided to hop out of the fucking car. Like, dude, I just want to introduce you're Nick, I'm Nick, you know what I mean? Like, I know you're not the one who ordered the food, but like, what? I'm just out of curiosity, what is this? And he's like, okay, this is this thing, and I run this stuff. And let's say I started talking to him, and then all of a sudden I start working for this guy or something, or he likes me, or he hears our podcast, or let's say that's the route I had chosen to take. So it's like, what I'm saying is every single day,
there's opportunity.
You are literally put in so many positions. We walk into stores and someone checks us out and we barely acknowledge them because we're not even looking up. You know what I mean? That's their job. Of course, I don't really want to get into a full-blown conversation with this person. So why would I start engaging in a conversation in case they want to like keep me here? I got to go. You know what I mean? So we ignore so many people every day and so many different opportunities. So if you wake up in every moment, if you just start being more aware even that as you're moving throughout your day, that almost every single thing you're presented with, you have the ability to engage You can choose to engage with it, or you can choose to not engage with it.
I had that opportunity. I had to do it.
Yeah. So, and it's like you can either like, my dad used to always say, like, opportunity is like a sunrise. You wait too long, you miss it.
Yeah.
Every second of every day is an opportunity to do something. And so if you're actively just more aware of what direction you want to go, and I love Alice in Wonderland. Like if I had to pick, even 5 books, like Alice's Adventures in Wonderland would come with me. And in there, it's just like, I love her interaction with Cheshire Cat, because Cheshire Cat originally, it's just like, well, she's first even asked, like, who are you by the caterpillar, and she's like, well, I don't really much know who I am, I guess, And then he's like, stand up straight. And I starts like talking to her, you know what I mean? Like having her recite things. So it's like, the first question she's asked is, who are you? Well, if you don't know, then maybe you need to kind of like just think about yourself a little bit more and get to even know what you like. Figure out what your passions are, figure out where your interests lie, figure out like what it is who you are, And then it wasn't even who you are, but then she meets, the Cheshire Cat, and he was like, well, you can go this way or you can go this way. And she's like, well, I don't really know which way I want to go. And he's like, well, if you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't matter which path you take. Because it's true. Like, if you're just walking aimlessly, then things are just going to get thrown at you. And life is going to seem like chaos. But if you can define maybe who you are or what you like, and then figure out maybe even what direction you want to start going in, then you're on a better path because you've chosen your path. You've decided to actually like create a meaning. And that's what that was about. It's pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Not just go off blind impulse and just do whatever feels good in this moment without thinking at all what you want or what could occur later or what direction you want to go.
It's a deep rule.
It is. I like that one a lot.
There's also an opportunity and a rise for each and every one of you that arises right after this video.
It's an opportunity to click that like button and that subscribe button and even leave a comment in the comment section.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
we really
the
hope you do it.
opportunity is anywhere through this video, but there's also an opportunity for you to, you know what to tell them.
Well, I just want you to say hello to your mother for me.
And tell somebody you love them. Seize that opportunity.
Seize the day. Carpe diem fucking diem.